هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك، من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار فيما أنت من عليه، وأدخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام، صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عام هذا وفي كل عام، واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك، وأنت مسدد للثواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنتني في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدهتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد نقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها، على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه، ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه، ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يداه، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه، ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرمه، إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وسفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي، إنما كان من خطئي وعمدي. أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من عجابتك، فسرت عدوك آمنا، وأسألك مستأنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك، فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لعيم منك علي. يا ربي إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك وتتهبب إلي وأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك. كأن لي التطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالك الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله، ولا شبيه يشاكله، ولا ظهير يعادده. قهر بعزته العزة وتواضع لعظمته العظمى، فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي ويستر علي كل أورة وأنا عاسي، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنية قد أعطاني، وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني، وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يحتك حجابه، ولا يغلق بابه، ولا يرد سائله، ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضي حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها، وترجف الأرض وأمارها، وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق، ويرزق ولا يرزق، ويطعم ولا يطعم، ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى، وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك. أفضلا وأحسنا وأجملا وأكملا وأزكى وأنمى وأطيبا وأطهرا وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبع العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على السبط الرحمة وإمام الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي. حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائما. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكة المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفوا في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له، أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا، يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح له فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نسيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله، وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فهملنا، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وعزز به ذلتنا، واغن به عائلنا، واقض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وأنجح به طلبتنا، وأنجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وأعطنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين. وأوسع المعطين. اشف به صدورنا وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق. آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وأعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبضر تكشف، ونصر تعز، وسلطان حق تظهر، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم برحمتك في الصالحين فادخلنا، وفي عليين فارفعنا، وبكأس من معين من عين سلسبيل فاسقنا، ومن الحور العين برحمتك فزوجنا، ومن الولدان المخلدين كأنهم لؤلؤ مكنون فأقدمنا، ومن ثمار الجنة والخوم الطير فأطعمنا، ومن ثياب السندس والحرير والاستبرق فألبسنا، وليلة القدر وحج بيتك الحرام وقتلا في سبيلك فاوفق لنا، وصالح الدعاء والمسألة فاستجب لنا، وإذا جمعت الأولين والآخرين يوم القيامة فارحمنا، وبراءة من النار فاكتب لنا، وفي جهنم فلا تغلنا، وفي عذابك وحوانك فلا تبتلنا، ومن الزقوم والضريع فلا تطعمنا، ومع الشياطين فلا تجعلنا، وفي النار على وجوهنا فلا تكببنا، ومن ثياب النار وسرابيل القطران فلا تلبسنا، ومن كل سوء يا لا إله إلا أنت، بحق لا إله إلا أنت فنجنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر من الأمر المحتوم في الأمر الحكيم، من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل، أن تكتبني من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم، المشكور سعيهم، المغفور ذنوبهم، المكفر عنهم عن سيئاتهم، وأن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر أن تطيل عمري في خير وعافية، وتوسع في رزقي، وتجعلني من تنتصر به لدينك، ولا تستبدل به غيري. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان، أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه، ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه. الفاتحة.
for Muhammad and Wali Muhammad Salawat. AV team, could you please display the sponsor slide? Thank you. Thank you. Tonight's program has been sponsored by Bande Khuda. We've been requested to recite Surah Fatiha for the marhumin in the Bande Khuda's family and all marhumin. Al-Fatiha. Ahsan, thank you. My apologies for repeating this so many times, but we take the security and the safety of the occupants of this center very seriously. Ladies' side door, the double doors, the wooden double doors for the entrance to the ladies' side will be closed 1 hour after the program starts. Once the doors are closed, ladies can use the men's side door here. There will be a volunteer here to guide you in. You can just walk through the center without your shoes through the double doors and join the ladies' program. Also, it has come to our attention that many of the attendees here during the Ramadan are not aware of the program here. Full Ramadan schedule, events, speakers, and much more information has been shared on Keeping Connected, on our website, on our WhatsApp group program group, and also on the Az-Zahraa app. If you or someone you know are not aware or do not receive the Keeping Connected email, the Az-Zahraa WhatsApp program group, or have not downloaded the Az-Zahraa app and other social media sites, please approach myself or any member of the EC, and we will be more than happy to assist you and guide you. You can also download the Az-Zahraa app where you'll find all the information. To summarize the rest of the program, we have a program every day here at the center, and iftar is served on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there is no iftar, but we will have full program, and tabarruk and chai will be served in the foyer after the program. On the holy nights of Shab Qadr, Wafat, and Khushali, we will also have a full program, including iftar and amals, if they do fall on the Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesdays. Please pass this message to those who are not here and assist them in getting this correct information. Brothers and sisters, please stand up in the respect of our guest alim with the loudest of your salawat. 3 times, please recite salawat and welcome our visiting alim, Shaykh Nabil Awan. Please move forward, please. Thank you.
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. أما بعد, for the happiness of Hazrat Az-Zahraa Mirziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of Yawm Marhumin, of the graves of the Shahada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam, Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who's Rahman and the one who's Rahim. Yesterday we began discussing 3 stages of the idea of riyada, of training the soul. The idea being that we clear and then we're able to control it, and then from a soul that is controlled, true dua is able to reach or exit our lips, exit our soul. Yesterday we looked at the idea from the classification of Mullah Hadi Sabzwari of the 3 stages, as it were, of riyada, of taming the nafs. Yesterday we spoke about takhliya, the purge, to purge from the self all of those sins, all of those attachments, all of those desires that take me away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having purged all of those, or in the pursuit of purging all of those various diseases, the traveler moves to the 2nd stage, and that is known as the stage of tahliyah, adornment. In this stage, now where the evil aspects or the immoral aspects have exited his soul, he or she replaces them with the adornment of moral characteristics, of high morality. We replace all of that attachment to things that are other than Allah and replace them with that moral attachment to perfect one's morality, to increase one's akhlaq, and also the adab being etiquettes. And it's one of those most fundamental things that no matter what you do, you can pray as much as you want, to go to as many ziyarat as you want, Hajj after Hajj, Umrah after Umrah, but if you're not a nice person, you're just a rotten person, then it's all for nothing. You can do as many sajda as you want, but if you're jealous, it's not going to aid you in any way. In fact, the Holy Prophet, he says, do not look at the length of the sujood of an individual or the length of his ruku', because this might just be a habit that they have developed. They have been conditioned into this way. They feel guilty when they don't pray, but that guilt doesn't come from a sense of responsibility to God, but it comes from years of being told by their parents, you better pray or else there's consequences. There's a difference in the motivation of the individual. The guilt that I feel from prayer, from not praying, I have to ask myself, where is that from? Is it from a sense of responsibility to Allah, or that I have let myself down, or is it just because it's a habit? And in the same way, when I'm used to doing something and I don't do it and I start getting withdrawal symptoms from it, has my worship also fallen into that category? So the Holy Prophet says, don't look at the length of the ruku or the depth of the sajda of this individual, of any individual. He says, rather look towards ila sidq al-hadith wa ada' al-amana. Look towards their truthfulness and how it is that they fulfill their promises or the trusts that were given to them. Look at their truthfulness and their trustworthiness. A person can pray all they want, but at the same time defraud all those that are around them. I can sit up here and be all spiritual and start talking all sorts of hocus pocus up here. Then I come down and say, I could solve your problem, just pass me a couple of $100 and I'll write you a ta'weez. And don't look at the external, look at the individual. Look at the akhlaq of the individual. And that's the fundamental part of the religion of the Holy Prophet, of the message of the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet himself says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِيُتِمَّ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that I have been made a prophet. I was raised to this level of prophethood in order that I may take the morals of mankind to their peak. There's no point being religious if you're just a horrible person. There's no point being religious if you're always angry. So the mu'min is the one of the characteristics of the mu'min is wajhun mumbasit. He has a face that is welcoming, that is happy. Not you look at the person and have to recite Ayatul Kursi. Or then you look at someone and you're like, I'm going to avoid this person. You know, he's always looking angry. He's always looking upset with life, whatever it may be. It's always upset. If you're that person, then there's all of this worship is for what? If I'm carrying around jealousy, if I'm carrying around anger, and then I'm still sitting there and I'm praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not focusing on those things. These are those minutiae of the spiritual path. On the face of it, there's all of these main things that one thinks that they have to do. But the minutiae, the nuances lie in the morality of the human being. Are you a moral person? Or do you like to gossip? Are you a moral person? Or are you always jealous? Are you a moral person? Or are you always angry? One of the companions of the Holy Prophet, by the name of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, he fought along the Holy Prophet in one of the battles. And he was killed in that battle, martyred in that battle. The Holy Prophet of Islam came barefoot to the janazah of Sa'd. He helped in preparing the grave of Sa'd. He helped in lowering him into the grave. He recited the Salat al-Mayyit over him. And he took part in the burial of Sa'd. How lucky is that companion? This shaheed's mother comes to the grave. As she approaches it, she says, Haniyan laka bil Jannah ya Sa'd. Glad tidings of Jannah be upon you, O Sa'd. The Holy Prophet says to her, be quiet. He says, your son is receiving adhab right now. She says, Ya Rasulullah, how is it possible? Your companion that died as a shaheed in the battlefield, your companion that you recited over him, you came barefoot to his funeral, you lowered him in the grave, you helped bury him and cover the earth over his body, and still he's receiving adhab, he's still receiving punishment. The Holy Prophet says, yes, he was a good companion to me, he was a loyal companion to me, but he was terrible with his wife and children at home. His akhlaq with his wife and children at home was terrible. And so as a result of it, he's being punished. These nuances make all the difference. Those things that we think are nuances. Well, as long as I pray, as long as I fast, I go on ziyarat. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Who cares if I'm harsh with my wife or if I'm harsh with other people in the community? God cares. That's who cares. And if you don't do it, then what is waiting for you is hell. Someone comes to the Holy Prophet and says, Ya Rasulullah, there's a lady in our area. She prays all the time. She fasts all the time. She does all her nawafil, everything you can do, every a'mal that she can think of, everything. Back then obviously they didn't have WhatsApp, but sometimes the ladies especially, the 50 million a'mal are coming out of nowhere, forward, do this a'mal on this day, do this a'mal on this day, this amal, this amal, this amal. If she did all of them, you wouldn't be able to get off the musalla. So it says, she does all the a'mal, recites Quran, she does salah, she prays, she all of that, salat al-layl, everything, Ya Rasulullah. But she has one problem. So what is that? She has a foul tongue, a foul mouth. She swears, she's harsh to people. The Holy Prophet said she's going to hell. So she's hell-bound. All her ibadat on one side, her bad akhlaq will drag her to hell. I have a narration that says, the worst of people, sharrun nas, the worst of mankind, the worst of the human beings is the individual that the people fear because of his tongue. We all know someone like that. You're like, you know what, don't bother speaking with this person because he's just going to start spewing whatever rubbish comes to his mind. He's going to start spewing that. So just ignore them. Just don't even engage. Or people will be afraid to say anything to that individual. Even if that individual is doing something that is wrong, people will be afraid to say anything. Why? He's just going to end up saying something that's going to be hurtful. He's going to bite your head off. Just ignore the person. The Holy Prophet says that individual is sharrun nas, the worst, the most evil of mankind, that the people avoid because of his tongue. And sometimes we look at it as being something that is something that we are very proud of. Yes, people are afraid of me. People don't want to, nobody in this Jamaat says anything to me because I'm not afraid to tell them what I think of them. And so the Holy Prophet says, an individual like that, that people fear because of his tongue, is the worst of mankind. Understanding the importance of morality, being able to remove all immoral aspects from myself and to replace them with moral aspects. Removing all sin, takhliya, purging all the sin from myself, then adorning myself with good characteristics. Fudayl ibn Ayaz was a highway robber. He was known as a thief of his time. Wherever he would go, people would fear him. He would rob people outside of the cities. At one point, he comes to one of the cities and he sees a young lady outside and she's washing her clothes in a stream or something. And he likes what he sees. So he says to her, tonight I'm coming to your house. She runs afraid. Fudayl ibn Ayaz. And the people of the town are worried. Like once he says he's going to do something, there's no stopping him. So everyone is in a state of fear. that he is going to come and what is he going to do and how are we going to stop him. He has this huge gang. So in the middle of the night, Fudayl ibn Ayaz comes into the city. And he starts to climb the wall of the house of that girl. As he's about to jump in, he hears someone reciting Quran nearby from the neighboring house. And this ayah, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبَهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, says, has the time not come for those who believe that their hearts should at least humble themselves in front of Allah in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hearing this, something happens in the heart of Fudayl. And straight away he turns. He says, Bala ya Rabb, qad ana. Says, yes, my Lord, now is the time. He turns back. From that moment, Fudayl ibn Ayaz left that whole lifestyle. Left everything. He changed his whole life around. He became a very close companion of the sixth Imam, benefited massively from the teachings of the sixth Imam. And to this day, he is in Sufi circles considered to be one of the masters of Irfan, one of the masters of the spiritual path. Just took one moment. We have narrations that say that the divine winds will blow towards you in your life only a few times. Make sure you turn towards them. Don't ignore them. Those moments of spirituality that you get, those moments of all of a sudden you feel like you want to change your life, capitalize on that feeling straight away. Don't turn away from it. Because you do not know when that chance will come again, when that feeling will come again, when that jazb will come again to pull you, that magnetism of God to pull you towards the divine. Doesn't happen all that often. So turn towards it. If you turn towards it even in a moment, just takes a split second of purity of intention to go. And sometimes it takes a trial to wake you up. Sometimes a word from someone that just pulls you towards that truth. Bishr al-Hafi, again, is one of the, even in the school of the Ahl Sunnah and the Sufi schools, he is considered one of the masters of tasawwuf. Bishr was known for being the party guy. He was known for throwing the biggest parties. Alcohol, dancing, music, everything. And it would happen all the time. One night after a particularly large party, the slave from the house, the slave girl from the house of Bishr is taking out the rubbish and she's dumping it outside. And she sees a young man walk past. He stops and he says to her, is this your home? The sound of music and merrymaking was still coming. She says, no, it's not mine. It's the house of my master. Says, is he a free man or is he a slave? Again, she laughs at the question. She says, of course he's a free man. I'm his slave. So the individual says, yes, surely he is a free man. For were he a slave, he would not have gone against his master in such a way. And he walks on. The slave girl comes back in the house. Bishr coming down the steps, sees it, says, what took you so long? bottle of wine in his hand. So what took you so long? He says, I went outside, there was a man, and he stopped me, he asked me, that whose house is it? I said, it was your house. He said to me, are you free or are you a slave? And I said to him that you were free. And he said, surely he must be free, for were he a slave, he would never go against the commands of his master in this way. Bishr, realizing, he drops the bottle from his hand. He says, that could be none other than my Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. He runs out of the house, he runs, leaving his shoes at home, runs to behind the Imam. He reaches him, he says, Yabna Rasulillah, to this day I was a free man, but by Allah, from now on, I am an abd, I am a slave. From that day, Bishr never wore shoes on his feet again. Thus, he has been known in history as Bishr al-Hafi, Bishr, the barefoot one. Just takes a moment. And especially the jazb, when it comes from the hujjah of Allah, it can draw you to heights. But there has to be a want within yourself to change. If there is no want, there is no desire to change. There is no desire to lead a more religious lifestyle, to lead a lifestyle that is in line with Islam, not in line with Western ideals, not in line with liberal ideals, but in line with the ideals of God. If you have no desire to do that, then no Nabi, no Wali, no Imam can come and tell you to do something. You won't change. The desire has to be from within yourself. And history has shown us, hujjah after hujjah came. But there were only a handful that wanted to change. The simple presence of the hujjah does not guarantee a change. You must want it yourself. You must have that desire within yourself, that desire to fight the inclination that we have. Sometimes, oh no, but in these times and days, we need to do these things to keep the youth engaged. No, you don't need to liberalize the religion. As I mentioned so many days, a few days ago, the hudud of Allah, the hudud of Allah, the boundaries of God are the boundaries of God. No one has a right to change the boundaries of God, even the hujjaj of Allah. And then I come along, I think this, I think, no, nobody cares what you think. You don't like it? Plenty other religions, go follow them. It may seem harsh, but when I have a professional membership of a professional society, so for example, in my case, I'm a member of the British Psychological Society. They have rules, they have regulations. If I don't follow those rules and regulations, I don't pay my dues, or I do something that breaks the rules of that society, they tell me, goodbye. You can no longer be part of this society. But the religion is free game for everyone. And now social media has given the village idiot a soapbox to stand on and to give his views. Especially when it comes to religion. No. Me trying to understand something, doesn't work. You go to the experts in that field. You go to a doctor when you've got medical issues. You go to an alim when you've got spiritual issues. When you need to run an institution, you go to the ulama. One of the reasons Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pushes a person away from the door of mercy is when, if you look at dua Abu Hamza Thumali, there is a part of the dua where the Imam says that, my Lord, I don't know what it is. Every time I try and stand and pray in front of you, you cast sleep upon me. Whenever I want to do munajat with you, you do something that I'm moved away from it. Whenever I find that my gatherings are becoming the gatherings of the most religious individuals, I find that I'm pushed away from them. I can't seem to reach you. سيدي لعلك عن بابك تردتني وعن خدمتك ناحيتني. Says, my Lord, let it not be the case that maybe you pushed me away from your door. You've removed me from your service. Then the Imam lists 13 reasons why this would happen to someone. أو لعلك, it says, oh, maybe it's the case. Oh, apologies. Maybe it's the case that you have not found me to be amongst those individuals. Santum, thank you. You have not found me to be amongst those that remember you, and thus you have left me to them. أو لعلك آلف مجالس البطالين فبيني وبينهم خليتني. Or maybe it is because you found me amongst the gathering and fond of the gatherings of the wrongdoers. فبيني وبينهم خليتني. And thus you left me to them. No matter how much I try and leave that gathering, I can't leave those individuals. And then it says, or maybe it is because you did not find me fond of the gathering of the scholars. And thus you have allowed me to wander. Thus you have let me despair. To learn about the religion. How do I know where the hudud of Allah are? I don't. To understand. And so the hujjah of Allah could come and try and guide, but it wouldn't be necessarily guaranteed that he will guide me towards that truth. So the morals. The second important matter is the matter of etiquette. Not only are you removing the evil part from within, but you have to replace them with akhlaq and with etiquettes. Akhlaq, remove that jealousy, remove that anger, remove the lying, remove the desire of gossip, all of these. If you want a checklist, then read Du'a Makarim al-Akhlaq of Imam al-Sajjad. See how the Imam lists every single thing. Read Surah Al-Hujurat of the Holy Quran. Look at the characteristics that are highlighted. It's a checklist. See, do I have these characteristics or not? Have I removed them from myself? Or do they still exist? The second aspect of it is etiquettes. Etiquettes are different to manners. Etiquettes tell me how I should sit, how I should eat, how I should walk, how I should talk. There are adab. These are known as the adab. Later on we will speak about the adab of dua. What are the adab of dua? That sometimes you see people, they're sitting, when it comes to Layal al-Qadr, and the Quran is on the floor, their feet are towards the Quran, their legs are extended out, Bika ya Allah, astaghfirullah rabbi. Or they're leaning on, half on the floor, tasbih in their hand, Ya Allah, please give me rizq. He's going to give it to you. You haven't the wherewithal to sit and ask properly. How is it possible that Allah would give it to you? You don't have the respect, the adab when asking. If I asked a normal human being in that particular way, they'd tell me, get out of here. You don't even know how to ask. You don't have the humbleness to be able to ask. So adab are very important. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he defines adab as this, says, al-adab, and yaqif al-insan inda haddeh. Says adab, etiquettes are this, that an individual knows his boundaries, knows his lane, and stays within his lane. This is adab. You know your limits, and you stay within those limits. You don't start to transgress those limits. One day someone comes to visit Amir al-Mu'mineen in Kufa, and it's a father with his son. They sit down to eat, and as was customary amongst the Arabs of the time, Amir al-Mu'mineen brings a bowl and a jug of water to wash the hands of his guests. The man says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, no, I can't allow you to do this. You are Amir al-Mu'mineen, you are Khalifatul Muslimin, you are my Imam. How can I allow you to wash my hands? The Imam says to him, listen, I am Khalifatul Mu'mineen, I am Amir al-Mu'mineen, I am your Imam, but right now I'm your host and you are my guest. Al-adab, an yaqif al-insan inda haddih. Here, I may be for you, Shaykh Nabil, but at home in front of my mum, I'm still Nabil. There, I don't get to, pull rank. Because the hudud, various boundaries. So Amir al-Mu'mineen washes his hand. Then he comes to his son, and the father says, no, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, let me wash his hands. Amir al-Mu'mineen says no. He calls Muhammad Hanafiya. He says, come, wash this young boy's hands. And so Muhammad Hanafiya comes and he washes his hands. Amir al-Mu'mineen turns to the father. He says, I did not wash the hands of your son, for I did not want him to believe himself to be your equal. You are his father, and so I washed your hands. Muhammad Hanafiya is my son, so he washed the hands of your son. Al-adab an yaqif al-insan inda haddih. Know that I am the father for my child. My child is not my father. I am the father to my child, not their friend. I'm friendly, but I'm not their friend. There is a difference. For a child, my parents are my parents, and yes, they may be able to relate to me, but there is a boundary which Allah has set that they are my parents, and they are wajib that I must obey and I must respect them. No matter how old I become, no matter how many of my own children I have. This is what adab is. To know your boundary and to stay in your lane. Understand what the adab of ubudiyya are. Adab of worship. Understand what the adab is of speaking to your elders. Understand what the adab is to speak to those that are those that are younger than you. Understand the adab, the etiquettes of speaking to your peers. Understand the adab of what it means to be inside a masjid. Understand the adab of what it means to interact with the community. All of these things are governed by the religion. All of these things have been taught to us by the religion. I don't need any other self-help book written by someone or some leadership book to be able to teach me. Yeah, that's part of it, but everything is there. It's just my problem. I don't know how to extract it. I don't know how to understand it. Adab is extremely important because it could just be one moment of adab, one moment of showing that etiquette that changes the life of an individual from the depth of hell to the heights of heaven. You look at Hur. Hur is a classic example. Just one moment of adab, one moment of manners that Hur showed Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. It was just one thing. And it changed his life. Where was that moment for him? That time that Imam al-Hussein grabbed hold of the reins, or Hur grabbed hold of the reins of the horse of Imam al-Hussein. And Imam al-Hussein looked at him and said, may your mother cry over you. At that point, Hur said something. And this showed the purity that existed in his heart. He said, were it anyone else that had said this to me, I would have replied in kind. But your mother is Fatima Az-Zahraa. How can I reply in the same way? And it was this small adab of Hur that I believe led to the salvation of Hur. That from that moment until the night before Ashura, Hur is in a state of turmoil, not knowing. He himself says, I find myself between heaven and hell. Eventually he comes towards Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And what is the result of the adab of Hur? He gives him permission to go out and fight. Hur fights bravely. He's struck, he falls to the ground, and Hussein alayhi salam himself comes running to the body of Hur, sees the head of Hur is bleeding. He takes the head of Hur in his lap. He says, Hur, what a beautiful name your mother gave you, for you are Hur in this dunya and in the akhirah. And then he sees that the head of Hur is bleeding. He takes his handkerchief and he ties it to the head of Hur. Says, oh Hur, this is that medal for Hur, that handkerchief that was sewn by Fatima Az-Zahraa is now tied upon the wounds of Hur. Hur, how lucky you were. One moment's etiquette and it took you to this level that you became shaheed, that your soul left its body while your head was in the lap of your Imam and your wounds were tended to by your Imam. But oh Hur, if only you were there on Asr Ashur. Hur, your Imam came to tend to your wounds, but Hur, there's no one to tend to the wounds of Hussein. Your head was hurt as Abu Abdullah sat upon his horse, tired from the fighting. One mal'oon threw a stone. It struck the forehead of Abu Abdullah. He lifted his shirt, he wiped away the blood. Another fired an arrow into the same spot. As the Imam pulled the arrow, blood covered his face. He lifted his shirt to wipe the blood from his eyes. Harmala, seeing the blessed chest of Abu Abdullah, fired a three-headed poisoned arrow into the chest of the Imam. It hit the chest of the Imam with so much force that the head of the arrow came out from the back. He pulled the arrow from his back. A fountain of blood gushed forth. The Imam took the blood in his hand. He placed it upon his face. He said, I will meet my grandfather Rasulullah in this state. But then he was unable to stay upon his horse. He fell from the galloping horse to the earth. Your head was in the lap of Hussein, but your Hussein's head, وَضَعَ خَدَّهُ عَلَى الرَّمْلِ وَالتُّرَابِ. The head of Hussein struck the earth and the stones of Karbala. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, for the sake of these nights, for the sake of these tears for Imam al-Hussein, Ya Allah, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad around the world. Give safety, victory and sanctuary to the mu'mineen of Palestine, of Lebanon, of Syria, of Parachinar, Kashmir, wherever in the world the mu'mineen are oppressed. Ya Allah, give them safety and victory over their oppressors. Ya Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu in whichever form they may come. Ya Allah, keep safe the Imam of our time and hasten his reappearance. Ya Allah, allow us to be amongst his true muntadreen, his true waiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any other du'as that you, brothers and sisters, have brought. Please recite three of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، يا محمد بن عبد الله، ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك وعلى ابن عمك أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب، ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك وعلى بضعتك سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء، ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك وعلى سبطيك الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبداً ما بقيت، وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتك. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعاً، ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على أئمة المسلمين من ذرية الحسين، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك، وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك، وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك والمستشهدين بين يديك وتحت لوائك. والصلاة والسلام عليكم أئمة الهدى جميعاً، ورحمة الله وبركاته.